Hello and assalamu alaikum my dear viewers. For today's video, I'll be telling you all about the different COVID-19 vaccines that are available in Pakistan. Since COVID-19 vaccines are a very hot topic nowadays and everyone is confused about which vaccine to take and which is the best. So today I'm going to provide a clear point of view on which vaccine is the most effective and the advantages, disadvantages and side effects of each of the vaccines. Now let's start. But before we start with the video, I just want to tell you that you should take the COVID-19 vaccine no matter what. You should just take whichever vaccine is readily available to you. You should not hesitate in which vaccine is the best or which is most effective. Facing some side effects is better than being affected by this virus and having to go to the ICU. So, I would just like you to get the COVID-19 vaccine no matter whichever you take. Now, let's start. First, I'm going to tell you the different types of vaccines that are available in Pakistan. Inactivated virus vaccines, modified virus vaccines, and DNA or RNA based vaccines. Here are some examples of each of the types of vaccines just for clarification, and now I'm going to describe each of these vaccines in detail. So the first vaccine that I'm going to talk about is inactivated virus vaccines. So the vaccine technology used in this type of vaccine is that it is based on an inactivated virus such that it cannot replicate itself. Therefore, it cannot do any harm to our body if it is injected into our body through a vaccine. Therefore, it is considered safe. Now, the advantages of these types of vaccine is that it is a widely known and widely used technology. It has been used a lot in previous vaccines as well. So, it is generally considered safe. Secondly, it can save us from mild to severe virus. It is most effective against mild virus, but it can also do a great effect against severe virus. Now, the disadvantages of this type of vaccine is that its effectiveness is only 55 to 75% and it requires at least 2 doses to work properly. It cannot work properly in just one dose. Now, some examples of this type of vaccine from the past are polio vaccine, hepatitis A vaccine, flu vaccine, and that's it. So you can see that it has been used a lot in previous vaccines as well, and you do know that these vaccines are very famous in Pakistan. They are almost injected to every baby at birth. So you can see that it is generally considered safe by almost every person. So the current COVID-19 vaccines of this type are Sinovac and Sinopharm, which are both Chinese and they require at least 2 doses to work properly. Now, the next type of vaccine is modified virus vaccine. The vaccine technology is used in this type of vaccine is that it includes only certain parts of the virus to trigger a strong immune response. They either include only the genetic material or some other parts of the virus which are known to trigger a strong immune response from the immune system of our body. They just contain a modified form of the COVID-19 virus which contains only specific parts, and this modified form of COVID-19 is called adenovirus. Now, the advantages of this type of vaccine is that it triggers a very strong immune response from our immune system. So it is very effective. Next, its effectiveness is 90 to 95%, which is very high, and it is quite good for us as well. But still, it has more side effects than inactivated virus vaccine, so that's a downside. Now, the disadvantages of this type of vaccine is that if other similar vaccines of this kind are taken before taking this COVID-19 vaccine, this vaccine will have a very small effect. But it will still be quite effective, so it does not make a big difference. Next, it has quite a lot of common side effects, and they take place within 1 to 2 days of taking the vaccine. Some common side effects are fever, pain, tiredness, nausea, and sore joints. Now, the past vaccines of this kind are smallpox vaccine, Ebola vaccine, and flu vaccine. Ebola was a very deadly epidemic like COVID-19 in the past, and modified virus vaccine was used to cure that disease. So you can see that it is quite effective and it is also considered safe. The current COVID-19 vaccines of this type are AstraZeneca, Sputnik 5, CanSino, and PacVac. AstraZeneca, Sputnik, and CanSino require 2 doses, whereas PacVac requires 1 dose. Now, the DNA or RNA based vaccines, which are also called as genetic vaccines. The vaccine technology used in this type of vaccine is that it is based on the genetic material, the DNA or the RNA of the virus. It is called next generation vaccines. It is a relatively new technology which is just recently introduced, so it can have unseen future drawbacks, like it can have side effects in the future which we don't know of right now. The advantages of this vaccine is that it is highly effective. It has a 90 to 95% effectiveness rate. It retains immunity against the virus for a longer time than the inactivated virus vaccine and then the modified virus vaccine. So it can provide you immunity from the COVID-19 virus for a longer time than the other vaccines. So it can save you from this virus even in the future. Now, the disadvantages of this vaccine is that it is a relatively new technology, so we don't know much about its side effects. We don't know much about what damage it can bring to the body or how effective it is more precisely, and it can have unseen future drawbacks. And secondly, it can produce a change in the genetic code or the DNA of your body, which can have problems in your future breeding patterns. So this can be a big problem, but these side effects depend on the kind on body. Like every person has different side effects, has different reactions. So this is not necessary for every person, but this is just a prediction, and it is not necessary that it will come true. Now, there is no past example of this type of vaccine. There were no vaccines in the past which are based on the DNA or RNA of the virus. This is a very new technology because there is no past vaccine of this kind. So it is a risky shot, but it can be tried. Now, the current COVID vaccines of this type are Pfizer and Moderna, which are based on which are made in USA, and BioNTech, which is a German brand. Now, let me just review the side effects of each of these type of vaccine. Inactivated virus vaccine side effects are pain, drowsiness, flu, fever. These are the major side effects, but there can be other minor side effects which will not make such a big difference. Now, the modified virus vaccine side effects are pain and swelling at the injection site, headaches, nausea, tiredness, and muscle and joint ache. These are quite bearable, and it is better than being affected by this virus, honestly. Now, the DNA RNA vaccine has the side effects pain, redness, and swelling at the injection site, tiredness, headache, muscle pain, fever, and chills. You can see that this type of vaccine has more side effects than inactivated virus and modified virus, but it also has a more reliable, a better result. Like it has higher effectiveness, and it also has a higher retaining of the immunity. Now, if you ask my opinion on which vaccine is the best, I think modified virus vaccines are the safest and best vaccines because we have quite a lot of information on them. They have been used for the previous epidemic, Ebola, which was a very, very dangerous epidemic. So we have quite enough evidence that they are effective. Secondly, comparing it from the other vaccines that are available, inactivated virus vaccines are not that effective. They are only 51% effective according to recent trials by WHO. And genetic vaccines are too risky because to be honest, genetic code can be changed, and that can provide a huge problem in the future. So better not to risk it and just take the centralized part. You can take the modified virus vaccines because they are the safest, and they are neither too risky and nor too ineffective. So they are both effective and safe. So those are the best vaccines. Now let me just tell just a public service message. Some side effects from a vaccine are much better than a visit to the ICU. So take vaccines and save lives. This is a quote from Dr. William Schaffner, who is a German doctor. So just to clarify what this means, you need to take the vaccine no matter whichever vaccine you take. You just need to take it. You should not hesitate on which vaccine to choose. Just choose whichever is readily available to you. And remember, even after you take the vaccine, you need to follow the COVID security measures, because even if you take the DNA or RNA based vaccines, they have a 95% effectiveness at maximum. So even the 5% remaining can be deadly. So you should just stay safe even after you get the vaccine, just to make sure that you don't get the virus. Now that is all for today, and thank you for watching. See you in the next video.